Hello and welcome to the Confusion Wrestling Podcast, the last bastion of independent wrestling. I'm your host, Rob Kammer, and this week, sitting in the studio with me is the Last Coyote, Christian Rose. Christian is, I don't want to necessarily use the term legend, because he would probably hate the term legend, but he's been a stalwart presence in the Illinois Midwest independent scene for quite some time now. And if you've been paying attention to your independent wrestling, you've probably seen him in places like ZOWA and most notably Dreamwave Wrestling, where he had just recently put his career on the line for the Alternative Championship. And I've been watching Christian in various forums for the last 15 years or so, and kind of like, not that I'm in the business, but kind of grown up watching him as he's growing up in the business. And we share some stories like back and forth, jogging his memory of like little weird things that you see as a fan that wrestlers, you know, I don't know, it's just a Tuesday for them. And like start party off with a story involving my mom, which I find hilarious because she's the one that usually behaves herself at things, and I'm the one that needs a babysitter and or security. And I mean, again, it's all me. It's my mouth. Like, I run my mouth an awful lot. That's why I have a podcast. Is I'm a white guy with a beard and a hot tub full of pizza rolls, and so obviously I have the best opinions. But I digress. Never mind that. But Christian and I sit down and talk for a while. It was fun. I enjoyed it. So without like wasting anybody's time any further, because no one really listens to this for the intros. They want to hear their favorite people talk or hear their potential new favorite people talk. So I'm going to go ahead and take a step back, let you guys take a pause for the cause, get yourself an energy drink, get yourself a coffee, get yourself a whole gosh darn coffee machine, and I'll be back with Christian Rose. Hey folks, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast has become a veritable hub of shopping and treats and all that sort of good stuff. Whether you need a sugar-free alternative to energy drinks in the form of Raise Energy, or maybe even, top of the line ice makers, coffee machines, and other household appliances, all through my links section. All you got to do is wander down to the descriptor of this week's episode, check out the various links, click on them, and go shopping like you normally would. Heck, like, it's no difference. You just came in and just said Rob sent you. And that way, you can get the things you need, maybe even at a discount, and the podcast gets a kickback as well. So be sure to check out those links. Thank you very much for listening. Back to the show. And we are back, ladies and gentlemen, the Confusion Wrestling Podcast. With me in the studio this evening, as I said at the top of the show, very special guest. He is, at least according to his recent documentary, The Last Coyote, is Christian Rose. Christian, how are you doing today, sir?
Doing well. Pleasure to be here. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure's all mine. Not gonna lie, you're a guy I kind of wanted on the show just for forever, and just... And part of it's just been a me thing. Like, I hate reaching out via social media to folk, but that's just...
I see.
That's a me thing.
It's interesting because there's this like idea of me being very antisocial out there, and that's not the case. Actually, it is kind of the case. So get me via social media is kind of like people's best bets. I know I've spoken with you at like merch and whatnot. I always hate running my own merch table. I hate it. It just, I don't know, something about it just, I don't want to do it.
Yeah, and that's fair. I guess that's just like my thing is like, for me, like trying to pretend to be a professional, which evidently is really weird, or really rare in this like podcasting business. And like, I like to work via email because I'm an old man like that. And then like, I'm dealing with all these kids nowadays who just DM me, and so I'm like, okay. And then the great irony is usually some of them have like little filters where I can't DM them because they don't follow me.
Right. Even that big of like a social media guy. Like, I didn't get on Instagram until like 2 or 3 years ago. Like, that's a thing that I spend a whole lot of my like effort on. I used to like Twitter, and then it was just awful, so I completely abandoned it. And then like I have Facebook, but I got to be honest, I kind of only use Facebook to like share things for pro wrestling, and because Facebook Marketplace is an addictive drug.
I have a friend who like tried to like without getting too political on this here podcast. Basically, when a lot of social media companies decided they wanted to be fascists, tried to like cut a lot of the cords, and one of them was Facebook. But Marketplace is what brought him back into Facebook. Like he tried cutting everything else out of it, but yeah, just Marketplace.
It's addictive, man. You're just always looking at whatever it is that you're interested in. You're saying, ain't worth it.
Wow.
Ain't.
I joke that like the podcast is the only reason why I have like almost any of my socials, is because I got to pretend to like plug things, because like evidently no one knows who I am in real life, so I have to like promote myself somehow, and I'm terrible at that.
I actually use Snapchat a lot because I have so many just group messages with different wrestling like territories. Like I have one that just says Iowa, and it's just all of my wrestling in Iowa, and then there's another one that just says like Indiana, and it's just all the Indiana people that I like in one chat. So I'm on Snapchat like constantly just talking to people and taking the same dumb pictures every day. So
And that's what I have, but I like never use it. It's just one of those one of those things I got peer pressured into, and then I'm just like, I don't know how to do this, and why do I want my pictures to disappear if they're really that cool? And then I have everything else for messages. but digressing, I mean, we could complain about social media all night, but yeah, I like to pretend this is a wrestling podcast sometimes.
yeah,
So.
yeah.
But instead of like asking the usual questions of how you got into it, I do want to start things off with an anecdote. And you've heard the story in addition to living the story, but this is not a story that has been discussed on the podcast before. But for those of you not aware, I've seen Mr. Rose in person many a time over probably a period of, we'll call it way too long, because we're both old at this point. And my mother had gotten back into professional wrestling about, at this point, it had been about a little bit more than a decade ago, and wrestling had finally come to my hometown of Toulon, Illinois, which is just a dot on the map. It's like 1,200 people, nothing cool going on, and so mom wants to go along because it's local, and so I come down from, I think I was still living in Galesburg at the moment, but I dragged my now wife along, and we went with my nephew. And Christian was in the first match of the night against a gentleman named DeCobra, who is a ridiculously hard striker. So they have match. It is a wonderful match. The important thing is here we get to intermission, and I'm trying to catch up with Christian because I hadn't seen him in person in a couple of years at this point. And so we're just talking, chatting, he buttering me up to buy something from his merch table that he hates running. When my mother comes over and like sees the hand, like literal handprint on his chest, and just starts like rubbing him, rubbing his chest, and I'm like, "Mother, what are you doing?" And she's like, "Oh, it looks like it hurts." I'm like, "I bet it does. Touching it is not helping it. No touching the wrestlers. I thought we've discussed this." And with that, she kind of did back away, but like usually I'm the ill-behaved one at these events, and just to have to like yell at my own mother because she's touching the wrestlers.
Weird thing is, there's, we were talking about this a little bit ago off air, but there's things that like wrestlers will remember very clearly, and then there's things that kind of just fades away, head injuries and all that stuff, right? I remember there were two of those shows in Toulon. I remember the match with DeCobra. I remember the venue, the building that it was in. To me, was just crazy. I do not remember this incident with your mom. I have no reason other than to believe you. I don't know why that would be the story you'd make up, but I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, I'm like, yeah, it's just not there. Like,
you blocked it out. Like it's 60-something-year-old woman's come over and caressing your handprint chest. It's like
very funny that there would still be like any small doubt though at that point where it's like you're actually seeing the aftermath of physical contact on someone's body to be like, huh, look at that. I thought this stuff was fake. Like, like, oh, I can't believe that hurts. And it's like, yeah, of course it does. Like,
and just the thing, like it looks like it hurts, so she's rubbing it. Like, yeah, that's good. Like, it hurts because he got solid contact. Quit touching it, mother. But I just, for me, it was hilarious because, as I said, like I'm the one that's usually like misbehaving or or something weird by proxy happens to them. But and you've blocked that out, or at least either on purpose or accidentally over the course of the years. So, but so while we're kind of on like this weird like fan topic, like wrestling, like the beauty and curse of independent wrestling is like the availability of the fans. Like, how often does like these kind of weird fan interactions like happen? Like while you're either at the merch table or just kind of walking around the venue before or after the show.
So for me personally, it's probably not as often as it is with a lot of other workers, because I kind of really do try um, to stick to either the locker room or the ring before shows. This is just a thing for me. It was something I was taught when I was in training. I was trained by like some really old school type of guys, and they were very smart though. And one of the things that they were big on was staying in the locker room as much as you could, and in essence, almost avoiding the fans. And I remember asking like why, because I was like new to the wrestling, so I was like, I would sit with people like visually in the crowd after a match or something like that, and they were explaining to me that like the more they see you, the more you're just a person and you're not a star anymore. And I was like, oh, that's interesting. And then that's part of why it's I don't have that many like crazy fan interactions at shows. My crazy fan interactions are usually outside of shows, just in like everyday life. Um, I again like I try to lead like a fairly private life. Like I go out every so often for sure. You know, I like a bar, but I'm typically a homebody, and if I'm not at home, I'm out in the woods. So the people that live in the area, they actually don't get to see me that much. And but there'll be times where like I'll get recognized at my job, or I'll get recognized at like a grocery store. I had a guy behind me one time when I was paying for my groceries. He just started talking to me as if I knew who he was, and I had never seen this guy before in my life. I was positive of it, and he just goes, "So I know how almost all of it works, but how do you get hit with a chair?" And I just looked at him. And I was like, "I don't know that I understand the question." And he's like, "Well, like how does it work? Like, what's the trick?" And I go, "There isn't one." And he was the man was horrified because he was convinced they were like prop chairs or tin chairs that had no weight to them. And I'm like, no, that's the same chair. They're in the crowd a lot of times, man. Like I don't. And the guy looked at me just wide eyed, like he could not believe that. I've had that. I've had people like ask me to come. Like I work for as a delivery driver, and I've had people ask me to come into their house and like sign stuff for them and take pictures with their kids and stuff, which is like very nice and that's kind and I appreciate. And I always do it. You know, I'm always going to oblige fans. Um, but at the same time, there is something odd to me about, hey, person I don't know, and they're like inviting me into their home. Yeah, just stuff like that where I'm like, I appreciate it, but like I don't know you, and I've seen too many horror movies that start.
I guess
Someone
that's a true crime podcast thing right there.
right. Um, I've had people like a lot of times it's just people that say stuff and it's like they mean so well, but they just don't really, I guess, understand. And they'll say things like, well, why aren't you in WWE? And I'll explain to them, like, oh, I never wanted to. And they don't get that, stuff like that. But um, yeah, most of the time, my weird fan interactions are just people who see me in public and are shocked by it. I did some weird thing recently where I had two propane tanks for my grills that were empty. Wanted to go get them filled. Wanted to get in a workout. Decided I'll do the same thing. I'll do two things at once. Right? I'll multitask. I'll just carry these and just do like a weighted carry and just carry these tanks up to the local gas station, get them filled up, bring them back. As I was walking across the street carrying these propane tanks, the guy working at the station came running out the front door yelling, "Yeah, Christian, hell yeah, that's why you're a champ." And I was like, I like it's great. Like I love it. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I'm like, kind of just want to get my pro.
Make it. Let's just make a scene out of it and draw like big attention
Right.
to everything. Like,
People are already looking at me like I'm a maniac because I'm just walking down the street carrying propane tanks, one in each hand. You know what I mean? I don't need any
yeah.
more at this moment.
uh, like my worst was I at the time I was the head well of two group homes for the DD population, and one of the local companies that had like just started up. I wanted to buy see if I could buy tickets in advance because like I have a bunch of people here with physical and mental disabilities. Like it's just easier to have the tickets in advance rather than to make them be like extra patient as I get out like $100 in cash to buy that many tickets. It's just like, yeah, we don't usually do it, but like I'll print up some special tickets. But can you meet me somewhere? And I'm like, yeah, that's fine, whatever. And so we go to a Casey's in Orion, Illinois, and like everything's well and good, but Orion is a very small town, and
Also,
the
only ever pronounced it Orion, but evidently I'm doing it wrong. I go
oh, welcome to small town life. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. Uh,
no.
could be. But yeah, so we go, and like evidently the cashier, I mean, small town. Of course, the cashier knew who he was, but like literally, we just went to Casey's to trade an envelope for cash, so we're already sketchy AF.
I,
And then the cashier comes out and like, I told you to stop doing your drug deals out in front of the gas station. And I was just like I'm technically still on the clock doing this. I'm in my nice business casual outfit, exchanging a nondescript envelope, and now somebody's screaming about drugs and like,
think it's a scene from Silent Bob.
it's basically what it was. And he's just kind of like, shut up. And she just like pointed and laughed at him, and then just like went back inside. He apologized, and I'm like, yeah, great. I'm going to be on the list. But yeah, I get that part of it. That wasn't even like me pretending to be famous. That was just me doing some cool stuff for the people I work with. Yeah, luckily you stayed out of some harm's way when it comes to the weirdo
Yeah.
fans that aren't my mother. But kind of tailoring it to your wrestling career, and I do know you've told the story 1,000 times because every wrestler has. But as many times as I've heard it, I can't. I legit like love hearing the story each time. But for those who haven't heard the story 5,000 times, like how did you get into the wacky world of professional wrestling? What made you a fan?
Oh man. So I was a kid, and I grew up like in the sticks in East Central Illinois. So we didn't have cable or anything like that. So we had I'm sorry, three channels, all local stations. So there wasn't a whole lot of wrestling that I feasibly could have seen. Like all I was going to see at that point was stuff that was syndicated or like a Saturday Night's Main Event or something. So this is just by sheer happenstance. My mom sitting on the couch, TV's on. She's on the phone, which at that point still had a cord attached to it, kid. Corded phones. Sometimes the cord would be really long so that the phone could actually be in the kitchen, but you could be on it and watching TV in the living room. That was this situation here, right? And I'm just playing with my toys or whatever in the living room, and mom's not really paying attention to me. She's on the phone, she's watching TV. And all of a sudden I look over and I see this guy tangled up in these ropes, and I'd never seen a wrestling ring before. I didn't know what it was. So I didn't even know what to call it. I was just like, what is that thing? And this guy's tangled up in these ropes, and he's yelling that he can't get out. And I see this other dude reach into a burlap bag and pull out a cobra. And I was a kid, and I was like, I know what a cobra is. Like, I've seen cartoons, I've seen The Jungle Book, I've seen movies, right? And I was like, what? And the snake bites the guy who's caught up in the ropes. And I was a kid losing my mind. I was like, who is this Batman villain that is using a snake as a gun? Like, this is the craziest thing. I was like, where are the police? Because like I was a child, so my brain, like I'd been taught, like if you do something wrong, you get in trouble. If you're at home, your parents correct you. If you're at school, your teacher. And if you're a grown up and you do something wrong, then the police get involved, right? So I'm watching this snake chew on this dude's arm in this ring, and I'm like, where are the cops? Where is anybody? And eventually, like, people come to like help, but like there were no police, and I was just a kid, and I just remember being like, these guys can do anything they want and not get in trouble. So I turned around to my mom, and she's still on the phone yammering to whoever, and I'm like, Mom, I want to do that. I have to do that. That's what I want to do. And she's like, she was a big Randy Savage fan, which is why she was watching it in the first place. And so she's like, doing the phone. She's like, hey, hang on a second. She's like, what? And I'm like, I want to do that. I want to do what those guys do. And she looks up and she sees the aftermath of this and she goes, "Oh, you want to be like Macho Man and drop the big elbow and go, ooh, yeah." And I go, "No, I want to be the guy throwing snakes at people." Uh, and then one of the coolest things about that story too, which I'm glad I'm glad that now I've got like a greatest hits for stories, right? My first album is going to be called "Let Me Tell You a Story." One of the coolest things about that story though was that I did get to meet Jake back in it would have been 2013 at Dreamwave, and he had gotten at that point he was sober, like he had gotten through his stuff. So I got to meet him. I got to do a segment with him in ring. It was one of the only things I ever actually directly like asked for or borderline demanded. Um, and yeah, I got to have a moment with him in the ring, and I told him that story afterwards, and he said it was awesome. Shook my hand, and yeah, like literally whispered in my ear in the ring after my match, "That was a pretty good match, kid." And I was like, you know, I can quit now. Like, there's nowhere to go.
Yeah, how do you top that? I mean, I guess you have other people you could have looked up to, and they can tell you've had a good match. But I definitely remember like watching that actually at my grandmother's house. Except I was traumatized by it. I wasn't the kid that wanted to throw snakes at people. Uh, I like that was like, oh no, like because I am a lifelong wrestling fan, so I've already seen all like a lot of the weird, stupid stuff. But like this was
Hmm.
very real, especially for WWF. Like, it was very real.
Hey, are real angles ever in pro wrestling? Like that. I know that obviously the snake had been devenomed or whatever, but like that's still a lot of commitment. Like that's not pleasant.
And it bit him repeated like several times. Like it wasn't just like a one and done. Like, oh,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna hang on forever. Like it bit like and then tried to like rebite to get a good hold of him in the process because that's well what snakes do.
Yeah, I love it. I think it's an all timer moment, man. Like just the sanity of it.
Yeah. Like it was such a big deal even in our household that it was the only time until like I was in my early 20s that we were allowed to call an a 800 number because we were allowed to call to get Macho Man reinstated because they had two
Yep.
phone numbers, and we were actually allowed to call in to in our household, at least unless they snuck in behind me and voted no behind my back, which I wouldn't put my dad past that because I think dad wanted to hear the no message. What happens if you voted no? But we were allowed. We did two phone calls. My sister and myself got two phone calls to vote Savage to be reinstated to get his revenge on the dirty dastardly Jake
Love
the Snake Roberts.
that is tremendous. That being like the thing that got me into wrestling is kind of why I got out of it for a lot of my actual youth. Um, because once I was told in like first grade or whenever it was that it wasn't real, I couldn't process that because I was like, no, the first thing of this that I ever saw was a real snake really biting a real man on the arm. And then yeah, that revelation like soured me on wrestling. So there was so much of the 90s that I didn't watch. Most of the like the new gen era I didn't see until like, so long after and like retroactively. Because I didn't get back in then until the Attitude Era when it was just the coolest thing in the world and nobody cared that it was a work. Like I remember my stepbrother being like, "Yeah, I know it's fake, but I don't care." And I was like, "You can do that?" Like I thought you had to think it was real to be a fan. And he was like, "No." And I was like, "Oh my god, yes." And I never went back. You know what I mean? After that, I was just all hooked 100%, still am.
So at a certain point, like I had to like I just treated like sports analysis to not be made fun of, like right post Attitude Era when it fell out of style again. Like you're like you still watch wrestling, you know it's fake, right? And I'm like, yeah, but there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, like behind the scenes. And there's a lot of just intrigue and drama when it comes to like the big boys and the contracts and people possibly jumping ship, which at the time like people stopped jumping ship because there really wasn't much of a ship to jump to. Because TNA had just started and they weren't really getting a lot of those big free agents yet. But
No,
like,
it's another thing too that like going back to fan interactions and those funny things that people say when they mean well. Sorry, I just remembered one of these that I've been wanting to tell somebody on a podcast forever. One time I was at a job that I had way back when I was in the break room, and I was just really tired, and I was beat up and sore and stuff. And like everybody there knew that I was a wrestler, and I'm just like kind of sitting at a break table, just minding my own business, head down. And this dude sits across from me. He was a friend, he was a coworker or whatever. He was cool, but he just looks at me and he just goes, "You know what you ought to do is get on one of them WrestleManias." And I was like, "You know what, Dale? You're right. I'll get right on that."
I'll, I'm gonna call Vince McMahon right now.
But it's stuff like that that makes me think of the like, oh, you know, it's fake, right? Because then, like for a while, one of my reactions when people they would find out I am a wrestler, they'd be like, "Oh, so you do that wrestling stuff? You know, it's fake." And I'd be like, "It is? Oh my god, what have I been doing to people?" Like,
Whoops.
oh,
I mean, good thing pro wrestling rules basically means you're allowed to do whatever you want, like
uh-huh.
from like bell to from bell to bell. It's not a felony as long as a bell is rung first.
Right, exactly. That's a verbal contract, and that is binding in a court of law.
I mean, don't get me wrong though. Like, you talked about like, oh, the police getting in. How come the police aren't getting
Oh,
involved? Like, I still think that sometimes. And I'm like 43. Last time I checked, if my math is right, I'm just like, all right, like they are nowhere near a wrestling ring. Like
oh yeah. This is a contest where the winner
yeah.
gets to throw the other one in a hole and shovel dirt on him, like what? For the world championship.
Wow. Fun fact: I can I made a joke this weekend. I can complete the whole funeral of professional wrestling if I could see a buried alive match, because I've now seen a body bag match and a casket match. I just haven't seen a buried alive match yet.
We had that one at Dreamwave.
I missed it.
Dude, unbelievable. Insane.
I mean, but that's the beauty of professional wrestling, because like,
Oh yeah.
yeah, we could say, we could call it scripted, we call it fake, but that's why wrestling can become awesome, because it is it is the best of sports to a certain extent, or best of, like, we'll call it MMA,
Oh
but
yeah.
you can do all the weird shit in it. Like, you're not going to see Ronda Rousey throw a snake at someone in the octagon.
No.
Like,
That might make me watch UFC. Like I think it's boring as shit. But you don't have you don't have the creativity. Like you have the athleticism, you have the flamboyance and the characters and whatnot, but ultimately you have such creativity. And like my favorite type of wrestling isn't necessarily the type of wrestling that I do. For that matter, it isn't like the most popular, but like if you are if you have pro wrestling, if you have control of it, you can make your own universe. You can make your own rules within that universe. You can decide if and when to break those rules and make new ones. Like, I love when a wrestling company has its own identity, when it has its own style, when it has its own framework, where it's like, WWE, hell man, they had an episode hosted by the Muppets. You know what I mean? Like, I get it. Like, it's not a tethered in reality product. That's fine. But then at the other side of the is like, New Japan, which is just wrestling as a sport. It's an entertaining sport, not sports entertainment. I like that's what pro wrestling can be, because I don't think there's anything else that's really like it. I always say it's the most misunderstood form of art that man has created. Like you can be the best football player in the world, but you're playing the same game as these other guys are. You're better at it, sure, but it's the same game all the time. You know what I mean? It doesn't change week to week based on the town that you're in, the audience that you're in front of, or whatever. It's always going to be the same game. But yeah, wrestling just is so varied constantly, and I love it.
yeah, I mean, it's a cliche, but I use the circus analogy for it, because if you don't like the clowns, you can check out the trapeze artist. If you don't like the trapeze artist, check out the strongman, etc., etc., etc. And it is like one of the just purest art forms, because like that improv element, you can make these rules, but if you're in this live setting, you still have that improv element where things can and do go wrong, just because ropes get slick, or the crowd turns on you, turns on someone you're supposed to like,
Bring
or
footing and you both fall and almost die. Anyway,
or the entire show gets hijacked by a wedding party and jorts and wife beaters.
Wait, what?
Oh,
With
that's another one you've black holed.
the hang on, the show gets hijacked by a wedding party. Oh no, I do remember that.
Okay.
I think was this Celebrate LaSalle?
This was Beer Stube in
Dude,
Moline.
oh yeah, no, I don't remember that at all.
It's one of my favorite. Is one of my favorite live events. That there's supposed to be, there's a wedding party supposed to be like next door to the wrestling, but the venue, that part of the venue wasn't ready yet. So it was SCW Pro just like let the wedding party like it was like a combined bachelorette party, just like hang out in the crowd until the bar next door opened up, and they were all just in jorts and wife beaters, and just the perfect level of drunk for me, where they're super interactive, like
I
responsive to everything.
was I on this show?
You challenged a dude to an a dude challenged you to an arm wrestling contest, and you obliged.
Did I win?
No, I think you threw the fight because
Oh,
I think you worked that too, because I think you had a one liner in your head that you probably wanted to use, because you had like you get like a one line promo on him like afterwards.
about 100 wild horses couldn't pull this arm down. Boom. One.
Yeah,
Okay, I remember that joke now because I've done that a billion times.
yeah.
This the moment you said the beer stube, I knew I wasn't going to remember this. I have so much fun wrestling for SCW and various other independents in the Davenport Quad Cities area, because the schedule would usually be a double shot weekend type of setup, and there would always be at least one of these shows where I would have to be like, I am just having fun, and that would end up basically be me being spending my entire payday plus at the bar and having to have other people take care of me. But awesome, I love this. I love that I did that with a fan. That's crazy. That guy could have killed me.
Luckily, he only wanted to arm wrestle and not do anything else. Like that's how he wanted to prove like what a real man he was arm wrestle, and like it was like a movie one where like you're doing good, and then just all of a sudden like you lost. Like he was a good sized dude. Like it would have been a competitive thing, but like just, and then you just broke out like it was like, this is an arm that can move mountains, but it can be taken down by one jackass, and then the crowd just loses it. It was great. I love that show just because it was just so weird and wacky like that. Like the beer stoop shows were never like fully like, yeah, canon things happen, but it was a lot of just screwing around. I don't want to say screwing around, but it was a lot to be a lot more fun just because of the crowd that is going to attract in general.
I for like young wrestlers to actually work on shows like that, because it teaches you a lot about how to like relax and interact with an audience and not focus so much on the bell to bell wrestling. And it's so it's so great when like new guys get thrown into situations like that where they're, how do you prepare? You know what I mean? Like how do you in your mind script what this drunken mob of people in jorts and wife beaters for a bachelorette party or whatever are going to like do? You, there's no way for you to know. But those crowds are the ones that are like some of the most fun because they just want to be interacted with. They just want to have a good time.
And like those are my favorite like shows, is just like the free shows at bars or cheaper tickets at bars, or because it does attract the crowd that isn't just wrestling fans, or that, dare I use the dirty words, smark, oh, I like there's people that are coming there just to be entertained and not necessarily to be part,
Right.
quote unquote, of the wrestling in one way, shape, or form. And like it's so much so, especially when there's like the children involved, because like I don't like children as a whole, but like children seeing like wrestling for like the first couple of times is like just great, because the sheer anarchy a child can bring to things in general.
It, kids at family shows are usually totally fine. You know,
Yeah.
kid fair shows. Oh my god! Like I get it, but at the same time, there are so many times at fair shows where I just want to yell, "Someone control them, please!" Like it's crazy. But like kids are good for kids are good for the business because that's how you create new fans. Obviously, it's how you end up creating new wrestlers. My favorite wrestlers and workers that I've ever met are the ones that were fans from the time they were a kid. Because they they have a better appreciation of it. They have that nostalgia factor. But yeah,
But yeah, it's that X Factor because I've watched kids do that. Like it's supposed to be the crowd chop shot. You let the kid get a cheap shot in the heel. One kid just full out punched the dude in the face, just
yeah,
straight up on the jaw.
I'll never have any part in that spot ever. One, I've always hated it, but two, I've seen that happen a bunch of times. I've seen kids like just kick some dude in the balls for that, and I'm like, no, you're not even like you watch everyone else throw a chop. What are you thinking?
It's like that's how Harry Houdini died. Someone sucker punched him because he thought he was like he wasn't ready for whatever was coming, and then the guy just punched him in the appendix and exploded. But
Got punched in the stomach, and he was holding a key in his mouth for like an escape, and then the punch caused him to choke. Either
he, I mean, I think the latter would be a better story. But yeah, like he used to be like one of his side gigs was like Tough Man, and he'd let people punch him. But he like did his.
belly with a cannon.
I don't think he went that far, but he definitely just let randos like just punch him. But like he made it a point to like he had a technique to tense up his muscles and cover everything. And some guy's like, "Hey Houdini, can I punch you?" And Houdini was just like, yeah, yeah. Didn't quite hear it all or whatever. Just like, yeah. And the guy just didn't wait for Houdini to turn around or anything. Just hooked him in the stomach and ruptured his appendix.
What an unbelievable death. Maybe that's why there hasn't been a movie made about Houdini, like a big one, a good one, like a style, not documentary, biopic about fucking Houdini, because the ending of the movie is just that.
Him getting sucker punched and then basically going septic over the next 12 hours. And
Like how there can never be a movie about DB Cooper made because, well, we don't know who this guy is and he just got away with it. We got nothing.
yeah. You'd have to come at it. You'd have to get like, I mean, DB Cooper. I think you could get away with it because there's a lot. You can do a lot of creative license that we don't know who he is. You just have to like. It wouldn't be a proper biopic. It would be
Stories all leading up to the same point, and then the movie
uh,
would end because we're like, well, then he got away. Like,
we could turn it to like a survival horror. Like the first like 50 like first 20 minutes is like the plane hijacking, and then the rest of it's like him like trying to outrun a bear. Or
wait, how about this? How about this? Okay, family on a camping trip out in the woods, right? Maybe the parents are like not getting along. There's a divorce on the horizon. The kids want them to stay together, type of thing. Okay, they're trying to just get through this camping trip. It'll pull us all together, right? But nobody's getting along. All of a sudden, some dude parachutes down into the camp scene or the campsite, and they all make direct eye contact at each other, and it's DB Cooper. And now he has to kill them because they know who he is, and the monster of this monster movie is DB Cooper. And then at the end of it, the reason that we don't ever find him is because the family comes together as a unit and love, and they kill DB Cooper and take the money and hide the body. So we're still looking for a guy, even though he's been eradicated by this family.
I love it.
Yes, doing it. You hear that, Hollywood? Leave it on the table by not making this.
Yeah, I'm like with all like the weird horror remakes of things that enter the public domain. I'm kind of surprised no one has done something like that because we got Winnie the Pooh horror. Like I guess they're doing like a Steamboat Willie horror movie now.
Yeah. I'm gonna go see Hungry when it comes out. You seen this?
I haven't.
The trailer for a movie called Hungry about a big hippo, and it's killing.
Oh, it's a hungry hippo. Great.
Sure is.
So that'll be on the list. Like, my batch of nerd friends do 50 hours of horror movies
Mm.
every year. And so like I'm that guy, like I love horror movies, but because of 50-hour horror movie marathon, I put off a lot of my horror movie watching because I like so few horror movies are worth like the like faux back-to-back viewings that I want to be like, I'm gonna watch this movie and then like, oh, it's going to be at the horror movie marathon too, and it really wasn't that great the first time. And I mean, maybe it could be a nap movie because it's kind of come at you, it come as you are, or stay as you please or stay awake as you please, because Lord knows it's hard to watch with some of those terrible movies at like 2 a.m. But like that's its own little magical world right there of a weekend of too much terrible food, some bad bad Halloween costumes, and even worse or good movies. So we sneak in good movies, especially during like the daytime hours. But like the nighttime hours is like your old Hammer films.
Ugh.
But you get some things in there that are like so good they're bad, or vice versa. Like last year, I finally discovered, like 50 years after it was made, um, Phantom of the Paradise.
Clear.
Yeah, I didn't heard of it until last year, but basically, like, Brian De Palma did like a proto, like, it was definitely a musical, but partial, like with with a lot of horror elements that he ripped off of from Phantom of the Opera and a little bit of Faust as well. And so it's about like a songwriter who gets his song stolen by an evil record exec, and then like he gets disfigured, and then go like basically like alternately like tries to kill the record producer at his new fancy new club, but is also taken aback by our would-be heroine love interest, who has the perfect voice for his music. So he's making deals with the devil while still like wanting revenge on everything. And it's a magical train wreck of
Yeah,
genres.
good. That sounds accurate.
Like, and it's like, if you're like me, you either want your horror movies to be like A affairs, like super scary, proper mindfuck, or I want them Z grade, of where I just sit the entire time going like, what
Oh,
is happening and why is it happening and how did I get roped into watching this?
I use this phrase for wrestling all the time. If we're judging it on a 1 to 10 scale, I only want to watch wrestling if it's an 8 or above or a 2 and below. Like,
Yeah.
it'll miss me. I don't care. Don't need like, yeah, everything looked good. You know,
Average is average for a reason.
right? Need something that's either really engaging or I need something that is so bad that all I can do is laugh.
It's also like the wife and I's like scale of like restaurants and like hotels is like, do you remember ever going to such and such a place? No. Well, according to this thing, we were there like last year or 3 months ago. Well, if we didn't remember it, it couldn't have been bad. So sure,
Right.
like let's go. At least that means it's safe.
Yeah.
we, we didn't get food poisoning, or the service wasn't terrible, but but yeah, I view that with horror movies, and actually tailoring it back to wrestling, like I definitely feel that way. Like I do love me a good train wreck, even in the wrestling ring. Butterbean versus Minoru Suzuki last year. I don't know if you got to see that, but
I didn't see that one. I heard that it's in the contendership for worst match that has happened.
I would I would at least with the level of names involved, I like it's a strong argument, because
Okay.
Butterbean, he's made a lot to come back physically from his various elements, but he was definitely in no shape to wrestle, and I don't know if anyone actually told him he was wrestling.
Mm, that that's not great at all.
Yeah, so so Suzuki tried to wrestle. Butterbean wasn't going to like take a bump, so it was like a lot of like awkward shuffling,
Ugh.
and then like they had a total schmoz of a finish, like double,
Ugh.
like either some one person got disqualified or they threw the match out. But like it was just like I watched it and just went like,
It's wild to me that for that they still had to like get to a nobody's doing the favors finish. Like, come on, dude. Like, and I
I
Suki, I think he's one of the best of all
yeah.
time. But like, yeah, I don't know. I hate spending that much money on a big name match for a finish. It's always bothered me.
Yeah, and I mean I don't want to play too much inside baseball for it, because I wasn't there. Like anything I can come up with is just wild speculation, but it's not like Suzuki has been afraid to take losses before to
Right.
more ludicrous people than Butterbean. So like I feel like that was just straight up the promoter or whoever put together the match's problem and not necessarily the people
Mm-hmm.
involved. Because I mean, Minoru Suzuki has just decided that he's only going to do side quests for the rest of his life,
Right.
and it's beautiful.
Yeah. That's a match I would love to have. Man, oh man, I'd love to do that.
I I would love. He's one of like my bucket list guys to see live, just because like he put that switch where he's super serious. Like he basically do whatever you want. Like if you want something super serious, he'll do it. If you just want some weird comedy match, sure, why not?
He, him and Vic Capri at Dreamwave last year, I believe it was really special. Like that was a big night for Vic. Like I was really happy for him.
Yeah, that was one I wanted. Like that, like don't get me wrong, like I don't go to Dreamwave as much as I say I want to, but like Suzuki, I went out of my way to like try to, and like by the time I went, like tickets were sold out already for it, and like like they were sold out in like within hours, and tickets go on sale in the middle of my workday. I can't always just drop what I'm doing to buy
Oh,
tickets, but like yeah, like it's just those things are
it's tough.
just crazy to me. But since we're bringing up Dreamwave again, and we're like 45 minutes into it, I do want to touch like that. At the 11th anniversary of Dreamwave, you put your career up on the line, and obviously, spoiler alert, you won. You're still
Oh,
wrestling.
wow. Yes.
But I'm bringing this up because to go along with it, you've had a documentary like released about the event, kind of leading up to the match itself. Like how did you feel about doing a documentary style thing in general, and then two, like the general, like how did it kind of come about and work into things?
Oh, so it's absolutely nothing to do with me, actually. My dear friend Coin, you can find him on Instagram at Coin Captures. Um, he's a really good friend of mine. I've known him for so long now. He started out in pro wrestling as a wrestler. He transitioned into being a referee. Coin for a long time was my referee at Dreamwave. Like anytime I was on a show with him, I was like, I want Coin ref in my match. Like we got along, we communicated well. I could always count on him, for what I needed from him as a ref. Um, as time went on, he got out of refereeing and was just like still involved in wrestling. Like he would come around and hang out and stuff and like just be a good brother and whatnot. And then he discovered photography and he's gotten really good at it and he loves doing ringside photography. So I say all that to say, in regards to the documentary, we had this whole thing going with me versus Cody Lane. If I lose, I leave Dreamwave. And if I win, the alternative champion. And Coin had been getting a lot of really good photographs at Dreamwave, especially, and a lot of like good backstage stuff. Like one of my favorite pictures I have ever had taken of me um, was after I think the cage match I had with Connor Hopkins, and I was downstairs sitting in a chair in the locker room about to cut a promo or something. I took a sip of beer and like coughed, basically. Like I was just like still sweaty and like heart's beating and everything. And I coughed and he got this picture of me and it looks like I'm just screaming. And it's a black and white photo of me sitting in a chair holding this can. And it's because it's like mid, when you're coughing and your mouth is like super wide, your neck's tight. It's that. And it's one of my favorite things of all time. So basically he had hit me up and said, "Hey, I think I want to dabble in film editing." And I was like, "Oh, that's cool." I thought he was talking about like, you want to film a promo the next time I need to do one? That would be great because I don't know how to edit. And he actually posited the idea of doing it as a documentary and basically making it a day in the life of, but it just happens to be this day with this match with these stipulations. And I said, "Awesome. I'm in. What do you need me to do?" So we did a sit down interview in my garage, which is the bulk of the documentary. And then he legit just followed me around for the day until the match started because I was on first. So the shot in the documentary of me going through the curtain is the last thing that was filmed because he then immediately set the video camera down and went through the curtain with his regular camera, so he could take shots of the entire show, which I think is really. Um, he also filmed and edited the promo that I cut for said match. I worked with him on that a lot in the sense of like these are matches where I got in a lot of moves that you could clip. This is the song I want to use. This is why, type of thing. Yeah, it was all him. The documentary was you know I was just there. So Coin deserves a lot of credit for it, and I'm really happy to gas him up for it. It got a great reaction. It's gotten a bunch of views already, so I loved it. Um, I think he said there's like a 40 or 45 minute cut that's just the interview that might get released. He's also going to put together a super cut, I believe, of me just going when I'm thinking responses to questions. But yeah, it was really cool, and I'm very happy about it.
It's, it's kind of crazy to me that like this is just his like this is just a I don't want to demean it by saying a student like a student film project like a student final, but just like he's just like I'm just gonna I want to edit a video. Hey, you want to do this thing? And then like it turned out like it did because I mean it's for those of you who haven't seen it, it's a short like 12 to 15 minutes, and no, it's really good. Like I'm not sure what I expected, kind of just going into it, um, but like I think I don't know. For me, it kind of it shows you in a different light that I'm not used to seeing you in general. But then again, this is kind of like extends the gravity of this potential last match.
Yeah, I prefer to not be prepared for stuff. Like I think there's like a stinger scene too where you can hear me being like, "Oh man," because I got like teary eyed,
Yeah,
got like pretty emotional during that interview because I didn't. Coin sent me the questions and I didn't read them. I never do for interviews or podcasts. I don't want to because if I know what it is in advance, it changes the outcome. Like I want to be caught off guard with questions and stuff like that, especially for that project. So I didn't know what he was going to ask. I didn't know what he was going to ask or in what order or anything. So you can hear me like trying not to like lose my voice or whatever in that documentary at the end, or not at the end, but at that point. And that was all very 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 real because I just wanted to be honest.
and yeah. So anyone who hasn't seen it, I do recommend going out of your way to finding it. Um, we'll plug the socials at the end of it, but I end up watching it on Instagram, which I didn't know Instagram could do videos that long. So that's my social media education for for the week right there. With this documentary, we are now leading kind of into a new phase into your Dreamwave career, and you've been there. I mean, not since the beginning, but from pretty early on, like within in the couple the first couple of years of first couple of years of its existence. How does this alternative title
Yeah.
reign and kind of like where you I don't know like where you think you're going with it compares to the last about 15 years or so of your Dreamwave career.
My one of my things is I'm big on reinvention, and I'm big on like stay fresh. Like you can't just do the same thing all the time. I think that like character wise and creative wise, I'm in a good spot right now. I think I've because I always like to reinvent myself, and like you try things and sometimes they work. You try things and sometimes they fail. You pick the things that are good and you move forward, and you leave the things that didn't work behind. I think I'm really comfortable with like who I am right now in ring. I think I'm really comfortable with who I am as a performer, and I think I'm really comfortable with who I am as a wrestler. I think that there's a lot of stories that I can tell going forward. I'm the oldest man to ever be the Dreamwave Alternative Champion, and that alone to me is like cool. Like we can build something off of that. I think that like I often get like I don't know why my voice did that right there. That's not an accent. I often um am categorized as a story wrestler, or I'm a program wrestler, I'm a feud wrestler, I'm a psychology wrestler, and those things are all true and I appreciate them. I think that like being in this division with the guys that are in it, I can like show more of like I can be creative in ring, I can do more things in ring, I can do some cool stuff, and not just be a promo guy who has psychologically sound matches. I want to be like I can have psychologically sound matches with a bunch of cool stuff in them too. Um, yeah, it's a new challenge for me because that's not usually my style. I don't even really like being in multi-man matches, to be honest. But I have to like tell myself, okay, this is a new thing. This is a different style. This is something, a new challenge for me to like learn and adapt to. I don't ever want to just be the guy that says, I don't like that. I'm not doing it. I want to be the guy that says, I don't like that. Let me try to see if I can like it. Like it's hard for me because like there's just things in wrestling that I like, that I gravitate towards. That's part of being human. But like there's things about those matches that for me are very difficult and very challenging. And then I have to tell myself like, "Hey, this is your job now. This is what you have to do this. You got to get good at it. You got to figure it out." And I'm surrounded by guys there that have way more experience at them than me. Like I did not. There was a time where I had only had like 6 multi-man matches ever. Like, and I'm counting like more than 3. Triple threats, oddly enough, I love. I know that doesn't make any sense, but I could put those together easily, and I really enjoy being in them. Past that, I'm like, oh god. So, but now I have to be like, okay, help, please.
See, in my head, I'm going. Well, see, here's your easy. I'm a jerk now phase, or like I'm just gonna let these kids beat the shit out of each other, and then dump the last one. I'm the winner now, and now everybody hates you.
Right, right,
But I don't know if that's considered evolution either. That's just the jerk in me wanting to win matches, and that's exactly what I do in multi-man matches in video games. John Cena hit his finisher.
right.
Bum rush John Cena and cover the um
Yeah, yeah,
but and I you know I think you're gonna have your work cut out for you because like Dreamwave, like the phrase best kept secret, is tossed around all the time. But like Dreamwave has got a stacked roster of young, hungry individuals, and it blows my mind of like some of the talent I see on Prelude, the new this is its second year now, the new kind of like undercard. I don't want to call it a tryout show necessarily, but like basically guys who are just trying to get on Dreamwave, and these are guys like that I've seen main event like decent sized indie shows
yeah.
elsewhere. So it's not like, oh, this guy's only worked for, can't work a crowd of more than 10 people. Like, no, there's guys who are. One of the guys, Anakin Murphy,
You're
is being
right.
featured on GCW, and he has to fight tooth and nail to be seen at Dreamwave. Like that's how crazy the talented the pool is right now.
The water's deep. The water's really deep. And I love Prelude. I think that like those guys are just busting their ass. And it's frustrating because like there's so many of them that, I can always be like, yo, this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. And then it's like, show's only 3 hours long. Like that's ultimately the crux. But yeah, it's good stuff. And those guys are just like so hungry for a spot. I really, really enjoy
Yeah,
it.
and like and I will say like I'm biased. I got friends, guys who've appeared on this podcast, fighting for, been fighting for those spots and whatever. But no, it's really refreshing to see like the young guys getting an opportunity, even if it is through. And now they've kind of like turned into a whole system now of like a big round robin tournament, and so that even then like Prelude is evolving as the quote unquote seasons go on. So there's your cheap plug, everyone. That's I know that's on at least the sit down marks YouTube. I don't have they got a special channel for that yet, or is it still just part of the sit down marks
Uh,
YouTube channel? And
yeah, I think they have their own YouTube
okay,
channel.
I'm not up on everybody's social media. Everything tailors back to social media. But and then of course Dreamwave can be seen on IWTV if you can't get there live in person. So like IWTV is one of the best $10 you can spend in the business as far
Yeah,
as I'm concerned. Because if there's no wrestling nearby, there's literally a world of wrestling at your fingertips for like $10 a month. It's crazy, go nuts. But we are kind of wandering into the hour mark, and I can sit here and blather on incoherently and throw out anecdotes what I've seen you do that you don't remember all night long. But I will spare you that because I've already done it way too much already. But I do want to thank you for coming on. But I'll give you the last chunk to kind of plug where you're coming up online and where can we, support you if we can't see you in person.
Let's see. You can always follow me on Instagram at Wrestling Coyote. Please don't add me on Facebook. Add me on Snapchat at Bitter Lunatic. You can't add me on anything else. That's all there is there. You can see me coming up, obviously, the Dreamwave Triple Shot weekend in June. I will be hanging around at Uprising. I will be competing at After Dark. I will be competing the next day, chipper and great, at Dreamwave Eve of Destruction. You can also catch me occasionally out at ZOWA Live. You can catch me at St. Louis Anarchy coming up as well for a match against my dear old friend Matt Cage. Very excited to do that for the first time in that town for that promotion. And then, yeah, I guess that's the best way to just keep in touch with all things Christian Rose.
And if I do my due diligence as podcast host, I will throw that link in the descriptor. Unfortunately, they'll probably have to copy paste it because that's how, I don't know, the descriptors work. But so you guys got to do a little bit of extra work in there. But Christian, thank you for coming on and chatting it up with me.
Yeah.
It's been a blast being able to chat with you for a bit.
No problem.
The Confusion Wrestling Podcast is a weekly podcast that is written and performed by Rob Kammer and hosted by Spotify for podcasters. The background music for this section is Ruined by Day, performed by Alan Schroeder. If you enjoyed this podcast and would like to help support, please like, subscribe, and tell your friends, family, and enemies. Leaving a review is helpful as well, because word-of-mouth advertisement is very important for us small podcasts. My social media links can be found in the description, but Twitter, Instagram, and Blue Sky are at The Nova of Cass. That's TheNovaofCass, and Facebook is MLW Confusion, all one word. If you'd like to support monetarily and help upgrade my equipment, please check out my virtual tip jar at ko-fi.com/Casanova, or if you prefer more bang for your buck, go to patreon.com/Casanova, that's CASSONOVA, where for as little as $2, backers get access to the podcast early and without those pesky ads, plus other exclusive content. So join the crew that is headed up by Keith Wynn, Alan Schroeder, Chris Zach, and Elenia, and check it out. You can also find t-shirts, coffee mugs, and other merch at the Confusion Podcast store on Teespring. Also, be sure to check out the affiliate links in the descriptor below. For business inquiries such as ads, sponsorships, and etc., please email rzkamer, Kamer, at comcast.net. Thank you all for listening.